hello out there. Nicole Roberts Jones here, and welcome to this episode of Bankroll Your Brains Thursdays, a time I connect with you once a week to talk all things creating multiple streams of income from what you already know, which means one, what is your brilliance, your purpose, the one thing God has created you to do or be in this world? Number two, what's the value tied? Because so many people overlook it, take it for granted, don't even realize that there is a lane that God created you to dwell in. And then number three, how do you create multiple streams of income from it? So I'm excited to be here with you every Thursday. As I ask you every Thursday, as you come in, tell me hello and tell me name and where you're joining from in the world. If you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm looking to see your comments, as my grandmother would not speak, right? Hey, Cheryl, tell us where you are in the world. Come on in, come on in. If this is your first time, join me. Say hey, first time. So listen, we had a phenomenal guest, Dr. Pasha Carter, that was going to join us today. She is not feeling well. So we will reschedule her for a later date when she's feeling better. So I thought what I would do is share a topic that I see coming up so much in the last month. First time, Ontario in Texas. Did I say it? I thought I would share from a topic that I've been seeing so many people talk about. As we set out on a new year, every year, set New Year's resolutions, which I don't like to call them goals for the new year. Here's the second thing I know: I marked all the goals that we started, really fresh and excited about. By March, those are gone. By March, we have either successfully implemented it or we are failing in it. And guess what? A week from Tuesday is March 1st, y'all. Can you believe that? And we'll be in our third month of 2022 already. So what I thought I'd do, good morning, Teresa in San Antonio and Raina in Cali. I'm a Cali girl too, even though I live in the DC area. I'm from Inglewood, California. Go Rams. Anyway, so what I thought I'd do is talk to you a little about the power in making a pivot. What many people don't realize is that purpose matriculates. You don't come here and God expects you to stand on the same level that you started. God always has more for you. To go after your more, you're going to have to make a pivot. Many of you know a couple of weeks ago, I hosted Power Your Pivot Week, where I had phenomenally successful people share at their experiences, their story from a time in their own journey where they had to make a pivot. And as long as you're living in the thing called life, your purpose is going to matriculate, which means you're going to have to make a pivot. So first, let me tell you what I mean by purpose matriculation. We matriculate through the education school when we're education system when we are little, right? So we started elementary, and then we go to junior high, and then we go to high school, and go to college and grad school, and on and on and on. Our purpose matriculates the same way. The difference is we already know our matriculation in education, but God requires you to have faith to matriculate through your purpose. Even as I think about that, when I left my junior high, I left my eighth grade classroom to go to high school. Listen, I had 13 people in my eighth grade classroom. Yeah. And even with that, Miss McMorris, our high school, our eighth grade teacher, who then became the principal of the school, my eighth grade teacher treated us like family. So I was a little spoiled. And so again, I said I had 13 people in my eighth grade classroom. And then I went to a high school where I had thousands of people in my class. That was a huge leap for me. It was scary. Well, when you are doing something you've never done before and you're pivoting into an arena that you have not yet dealt in, it's going to be scary. Listen, I was on a mastermind call years ago, and Ayana Van Zant herself was teaching us on that call. And I quote, and I use our quote all the time. So if you're around me, I probably have about 5 quotes I say all the time. This is one of them. If you don't feel like you need to pee on yourself sometimes, you're not playing big enough. Meaning, if it's not scary, if it's not calling you outside of the norm, another of my favorite quotes, Stephen Furtick, said, the enemy of faith is not fear, it's familiarity. Because we only want to do what we're familiar with, what's normal. And God has a new normal when you're making a real pivot, when you're shifting and growing into something new. So today I thought I'd share the 5 steps you need to go after what's next. What are the 5 things you need? If you have started and your goal was to start a business or to grow your current business, and listen, if I'm talking about starting a business, I'm talking alongside your 9 to 5. That's the way I teach my clients, because you need to spend money to make money. And if you're just starting to generate revenue in my business, in your business, and you think you're going to pay your bills, yeah, you got a rude awakening coming because you need to put that money back in your business. So that's why I call it alongside, because you need to have a paycheck coming in while you're building your own. So maybe that's the first step, which I didn't write down. Is you got to do it alongside those of you that are just starting. I hear so many people say, I'm going to step out on faith. And I'm always like, don't blame it on God. God doesn't tell you to have stupid faith. He tells you to have wise faith, strategic faith. You've thought it through. So for me, when I started making predictable revenue and I could see how it was possible, me quitting my daytime job to then do this full time was a step out on faith. I was having faith that I would continue to generate revenue. But for me to just quit and not have a plan and not have any strategy is just not smart. So some of y'all just needed that today. So that's a bonus step. The second thing you've got to do, and this is the biggest one, y'all, when you're getting ready to make a shift, and maybe you're feeling like something's missing. Maybe in your career you don't feel fulfilled anymore. You did at the beginning of your career, but something is just doesn't make you happy. Or maybe your job just is no longer big enough for your gift. Or maybe you have the Monday morning blues, all Sunday you think about, oh, I don't want to go to that job tomorrow. If you're feeling any of those things, it means it's time for you to pivot. Those of you that haven't heard my story, I want to share it with you quickly. I appreciate you, Cheryl. She said, say that, right? And I want to share my story with you so you have context as to why I'm sharing what I share. So this year marks 28 years. Actually, September will be 29 years that I've been in this work. Yep. Mind your business. I'm 29 still. 30, let's say 30. So when I started in this work in 1993, I had the career I've dreamed of ever since I was 7 years old. I was working in the entertainment industry, working on some of the hottest TV shows, bumping elbows with all the stars. No, I was working on the number one TV show on Fox. Let me keep it all the way real. I was going to all the hot Hollywood parties. I was living the dream, y'all. Sitting on red carpets, having bottle service, sitting in all the VIP sections. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Stuff we see on TV. Yeah, I was living it. And I loved every minute of it. But can I tell you, in the dark of the night when I was by myself, I felt like something was missing. Hey, Don in New York. And I didn't understand how I could feel like something was missing when I loved my job. I loved everything I was working on. How could I feel like something was missing? And I'm sharing that with you because, again, that might be exactly where you are. That something feels off, something feels like it's missing, or you hate your job, or anywhere in between. I am here for you today. And so in the middle of me feeling dazed and confused because I kept trying to talk to my girlfriends about it and they kept saying, are you crazy? Do you realize you went to this event and this person knows your name and et cetera, et cetera? So in the middle of me feeling all these things, I volunteered at a youth program at my church. My girlfriend said, hey, let's go work with kids, those teenagers, one night. It was a Friday night. And listen, I'm from South Central LA. This was right after the riots, and kids were suffering like I had never seen before. And so I said, okay, sure. Well, that night, as I started working with young people, as their eyes lit up, my heart lit up, and I said, oh my God, this is it. But I didn't know what to call this thing. I never For the first time in my life, my soul was alive. And so I had a decision to make. And maybe you're at that crossroad right now. We have to choose between what everyone else knows you to be or do. Perception, public opinion, all those things are gnawing at your heart, or to go after the thing that's rumbling inside your soul. And so, to make a long story short, I made this decision. So I'm here, y'all, right? And so there were so many things that I had to learn to do in that place. And what I realize now is that my purpose was calling. Can I tell y'all? You're at that fork, or Wenda, is it Wendy? Wenda? Am I saying your name right? You're at the right place. Because let me tell you, what I realize now is that my purpose was going through matriculation. Was I meant to work in entertainment? Yes. I worked in casting and talent management, and I worked with a production group. Can I tell you what I do with my clients now? I take your gift and put it in the right role in your business and produce programming so you can make multiple streams of income from it. See, All things work together for the good. That's that Bible verse, right? It's not all things. I mean, few things or a couple things. It's all things. But I had to be willing to do the 5 things I'm going to walk you through right now. You ready? I gave you a bonus one, right? Hey, Tanisha. Right. So, with that said, y'all, here are your 5 steps you've got to do when you're ready to go after your next. You ready? The first thing is you've got to acknowledge what you're feeling. I meet so many highly skilled professionals. I get to coach many of you in this thing called life. And what happens when you're already gotten to a level of success is you feel like, well, I'm this successful, so why should I dare want more? I've gotten to this place that so many people want. How dare I start something new? And see, for me, I just kept working hard and working harder, thinking that that feeling will go away, and it won't. So you've got to stop and acknowledge what you're feeling, what's coming up for you. You know, they call us human beings, but we're not. We're actually human doings because we focus on do, that we forget to be. See, it's in our being that God can show up. It's in our being that God will speak to our soul, right? I appreciate y'all. And so, first, you got to acknowledge what's coming up for you. What's going on? Why do you feel like this? Why do you have this inkling? It was in that room that night working with young people that my heart was lit up like never before. I didn't even know what to call it, y'all. But the one thing I knew for sure was that this was it. I had to acknowledge what I was feeling. I had to acknowledge that I felt a hole in my soul. So sometimes you gotta sit in quiet contemplation. Listen, I remember I was on a Facebook Live like this once, and a woman told me she was praying about what she was feeling. And listen, if y'all don't know, by now I'm a God's girl. And it bothered me that she said she was praying about it. So I prayed about it. I know that sounds crazy. I prayed about her for saying that she was praying about it because it bothered me. And here's what God said back to me. She is waiting on me, and I am waiting on her. So if you just keep moving and keep moving and keep moving, doing what you've already done and thinking that a different result is going to happen, yeah, not happening. So stop and acknowledge what you're feeling and sit in quiet contemplation and really get underneath it. So that's number one. That's why authenticity. Yep, but I keep it real too, right? The second thing, and I wrote this down because y'all I can talk for the next 5 hours, right? The second thing you got to do is get clear on your DNA. Now, when I say DNA, I'm talking distinct natural ability. I wonder if you realize that God put you here on purpose with purpose. He was very intentional when He gave you the gifts and talents that He gave you. So the fact that you have this inkling for more is attached to your DNA, but you've got to get clear on it. So when I started getting clear on the fact that I had this natural gift, listen, I was good at casting. I loved it. So it was really hard for me to walk away because listen, what's the other Bible verse? Ephesians 3:20, to him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask or think. If God is going to do bigger than what you can ask or think, it's going to be beyond what you can see. So I could see how God was going to move me into this other arena and I was going to love it more than this. But the one thing I knew for sure is something was rumbling up inside of me. There's a song they used to sing in church. My church, one of my favorites, called Stir Up the Gift. Now, I can't sing y'all. Stir up the gift. Right in the choir, we go, stir it up, stir it up. Any of y'all sound familiar? No? Right? Hey, D. Right? Stir up the gift. Anyway, okay, let me stop, right? So you got to understand that God is stirring it up. And so it's time for you to get clear on what it is, who is the answer to, because you are here to be an answer. And how do you begin to stand in it unapologetically? That's a whole training by itself. Just that I actually did a live a couple weeks ago here at Black Doctors about dominating your lane. Yeah, that's that whole conversation right there. Hey, Rain, I see more of y'all are joining me. Welcome, welcome. Right. The third is what will you do with it? Now that you know you have DNA, you're getting clear on it. What will you do with what you have? Now, I'm not going to read this whole Bible verse, but if you guys want to read it later, it's Matthew 25:14-29. I'm going to tell you the Cliff Note version. This is the parable of the talents, one of my favorite examples to use. So some of you guys that have been following me on Black Doctor, you've heard me use this example. But in this story, an employer, and this is servants, I'm going to say employees because I don't like that servant word. An employee is going away and he says, hey, I'm going to give some talents to my people to hold, to my peeps, right? And I want to get this part right. He gives one, and to one he gave 5 talents. This is 25:15. To the another he gave 2, and to another he gave 1. So the first one he gave 5, the other one he gave 2, and one he gave 1. So he goes away. He comes back. When he comes back, the one with 5 invested it and got 3 times. That means he made 15 talents from the one. By the way, it's interesting that this is called Parable of Talents. I believe it's talking about money, but it's interesting. It's called talents. When God put talents and gifts in you, I'm just saying, no coincidence in the Bible, right? So he invested it and got 3 times back, meaning he came back and he started with 5 and gave the man back 15. The other one invested and got double, started with 2 and gave the man 4. The other one got 1 and dug a hole in the ground, put it in the ground, and when the man came back, he gave him his 1. He said, well, what happened? What did you do? Right? I'm trying to find where it says so I can read it out of the Bible. Look, so this is what, I'm going to just read this whole part. This is starting at 27. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming, I would have received back my own with interest. This is in the Bible. Therefore, take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. In other words, he that does nothing with what I've given him, I'm going to take it all away. God's not going to keep waiting for you. God's not going to keep waiting for you to grow your gift. God's not going to keep waiting for you to pivot into the next level. God will give that assignment to somebody else. So what will you do with what you have? Now I have 2 more steps to give you, but I know some of you guys are saying, well, I don't know what to do with what I have, and I need support. So if you haven't heard, I have a 2-day virtual coaching intensive called Be the Answer. I'm going to show a quick video and tell you why I created Be the Answer, and then I'll come back, I'll give you the other 2 steps, and we'll wrap up our conversation, all right? So with that, here we go. Hi, I'm Nicole Jones, the creator and host of the Be the Answer 2-day intensive live event. Now, when I think about having my event and actually going to any event, it makes me think about the experience I had when I attended my very first event over 5 years ago. See, I attended that event because, to be honest with you, my business was failing and I knew I needed help. Now, that was despite the fact that by that time I had been in business for over 17 years. I said 17. And I want you to get this. For all intents and purposes, I looked successful, but I was only generating, 17 years in now, I was only generating $13,000 a year. And because of that, I was ready to quit. I was ready to throw in the towel. I was ready to just give up on being an entrepreneur altogether. Now, that was back in November of 2010. And in that moment, I signed up for a free webinar. And after watching that free webinar, I registered for the conference that they invited me to on that webinar. See, I registered for the conference. I bought my plane ticket. I booked my hotel because I said to myself, this is going to be my last try. And I got to tell you, attending that conference, it changed my business and actually it changed my life. Now, I took a risk in going. I got bold, I got radical, and I got the guts to really go after what I wanted. And because I stepped up and stepped out, what happened was when I got to this event, I got tools. I learned from experts. I got the insight on how to move from the hustle I was in to truly making money. See, I got clear on how to create a bigger picture. I got clear in that room and I got committed on that day to being the answer. And here's what I want you to get. See, because I took action, because I got tools and I signed up for a mastermind all at that event, is how I went from making $13,000 a year to making over $200,000 a year in my business. Now, I share that with you because that's the exact reason I wanted to create Be the Answer. See, when I was making $13,000 a year, I knew I was doing the very thing I was meant to do, but I just had taken myself as far as I could take myself. And that's where many of you are. You have been in business, but you are not reaching the level of success that you desire and, quite frankly, you deserve. And it's time. It's time for you to move into your next, into your more. See, I wanted you to have the same experience from all that I learned, the contacts I made, the coach I hired, and the action that I took at that event that allowed the meaning I was already making to actually make me money. And when I'm talking about money, I'm talking about 6-figure, 7-figure success. And yeah, that's why I created Be the Answer. See, at Be the Answer, we're going to help you completely change the way that you're doing business, the way that you have productivity in your business, the way that you have and are creating multiple streams of income. We're going to look at the way you're serving the world, and we're going to make sure you have the systems and the strategy in place so that you can and will be successful. See, all of that matters. And you can work harder and you can work harder, you can work harder, but you doing the same thing over and over will keep producing the same result. And so that is why I created Be the Answer, for every woman entrepreneur that's out there that knows that there's abundance with her name on it waiting for her. If that's you and you're ready for your more, then I look forward to seeing you at Be the Answer. So that's so listen, the video said women, but I want you fellas to know that you are invited too. And the reason I created Be the Answer is for the purpose-focused professional. So whether you are just starting or you've been in business for years, I really want to support you. So if that's been your goal, then get in the room. It's only $297. Me and you 2 days, March 18th and 19th, from the comfort of your home. Learn more because I'll give you bonuses. You start a program, an online program right away. BeTheAnswerEvent.com, and I keep it intimate. Only a few people, so I can really coach you in those 2 days, right? So with that said, let's go back to our conversation as we look at the 5 things, 5 steps you need if you're going to go after your next level. So I gave you a bonus step. Y'all remember what that bonus step was? Number 1 is you need to sit in quiet contemplation and really acknowledge what you're feeling. That's number 1. Acknowledge what you're feeling. I'm not going to say the bonuses. Bonuses for the people that were here earlier. Number 2 is get clear on your DNA. Get clear on the way God wired you. It's not a coincidence that you're good at certain things, that you have a natural propensity for some things, right? God put you here on assignment. Now it's time for you to get in alignment with that assignment. Number 3 is what will you do with it? What will you do with what you have? It's already there. Will you create the strategy? Will you get the methodology? Those of you that join me at Be the Answer, I'm going to give you the methodology, all right? I'm going to give you all you need to get clear on your DNA, because here's where I see so many businesses fail, is that you don't have an edge. That you might see somebody else's business over here, and you're like, well, I'm going to do what he did, or I'm going to do what she did. And God didn't create you to be anybody but you. So any day I try to be Oprah, as bad as Oprah is, I will fail. And dare I say, any day that Oprah tries to be me, she will fail. Because she wasn't created to be Nicole Roberts-Jones any more than I was created to be Oprah. So you need to get clear on it. And then how will you grow it? That's what I mean by what will you do with what you have? How will you invest in it? Listen, God has invested so much in you. How will you give God a great return on his investment in you? So then step number 4 is you got to increase your faith. Listen, I'm not here for who you already are. Your resume, your bio, that's done. I'm here to go after a version of you that you have not yet become. How you do that is you got to let go of who you already are to go after that next, which means you got to increase your faith. Because the tools that you have right now are great, but you need more tools. You know, when I went to that conference, and I told you guys in the video, I made $13,000 in my business. By the way, I appreciate you, Wenda. You know, she says, look, Wenda said, Oprah's got nothing on you. I appreciate you, just like I ain't got nothing on Oprah, right? I appreciate you. Listen, when I went to that conference, I was making $13,000, and I told you I hired that coach and I signed up for that mastermind. Can I tell you that cost over $30,000? Could I afford it? Mm-mm. But I couldn't afford not to do it. I was willing to risk it all to gain it all. I said, God, I'm trusting you. I know you put this coach in my path. I'm going to pay her. I'm going to invest in myself and do the work it takes. See, I had to invest at the level I wanted to see the return. Before then, I was doing all the free stuff. How many of y'all get on all these free webinars? That was me. I had a whole free webinar notebook. But when you get on free stuff, it only gives you this much, and you need this much to grow your business. Actually, you need this much, right? It's like a free, it's an appetizer, baby. You need a meal and dessert and maybe a cocktail with it, right? You need it all. And so I need you to get that it's going to take you having faith, right? Tanisha said, I've paid as well. Listen, there are people that have come to me and said, I hired this coach and I didn't get there. But guess what? That could have been your kindergarten. And you thought you were going to graduate from high school, but God had to take you to kindergarten first. Don't discount where you come from. Continue to grow and matriculate so your purpose can grow, y'all. That's increasing your faith. Listen, your comfort and your conviction can never coexist. Another of my favorite things I say all the time. Your conviction is going to pull you outside your comfort because you're going to go after a level that you have never been before. And I can do a whole conversation on that. I just thought of a whole thing. Listen, I had the privilege of working with Steve Harvey on some of his content, and I remember he was writing his book, Jump. And this whole conversation on jumping without a parachute, we got into this whole deep conversation about that. Yes, walk by faith and not by sight. Matter of fact, if you it's not having faith if you can see it. Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You don't have to have faith if you can see it. That's not having faith. I believe God puts us in situations so we have to completely trust in Him. And even going back to the jump piece I was talking about with Steve Harvey and how he was saying how we have to jump, and you jump without a parachute, trusting that God is not going to let you fall. That's what I did when I hired that coach. And baby, that 200,000, I couldn't see how, but God is all I can say. But God. And then number 5 is you got to get in action. As I shared with you earlier, the woman that was saying she was praying about it and I was bothered by that, it was because she was sitting and waiting, and God was waiting on her. Listen, if I could go to the gym and tell my trainer, okay, you work out, I'm gonna sit right here, drink my little drink right here, and you work out. I wish I could and not do a thing. But even faith without works is dead. You can't have faith and not do anything about it. You got to be in action. Even if Jesus is our example, listen, when he went to look for disciples, he picked disciples that were busy. All of them he picked while they were working. He got them off of the fishing boat, out of what they were doing, to come and be fishers of men and women. And so I just thought I'll stop by. Pasha will come back another week. We missed her. We pray for her health, but she'll come back. We'll set up another time when she's better. And I wanted to give you the 5 steps you need to go after your next level. Because listen, why would you want the same thing you had in 2021 in 2022? Why would you want to start 2023 knowing that you could have a whole new 2023 if you did the work in 2022? So BeTheAnswerEvent.com is where you go. It's a 2-day intensive, and it's only $297, $297. And let me tell you everything you get. You get a 5-part online program. Because listen, again, I'm not coming for who you already are. So I've got to expand your mindset so that everything I pour into you, your mind will be ready. There's a Bible verse that says, why you can't put new wine in old wineskins, because the old wineskins will burst and the wine will be spoiled. Same thing with your mind. I can't put new wine in those old wineskins. So if we're going to go after a new level, we got to expand your mind. It's a big, bold move, 5-part online program. You start immediately when you register. I'm sending a swag box to your house with your workbook. Oh, I'm coming to do full implementation. This is not a rah-rah, kumbaya event. This is a let's do the work and move your purpose forward event. And we do pre-activation. We pray together March 13th, which is a Sunday before. We have pre-activation activities that the week to start getting you ready for March 18th and 19th, Friday, Saturday, from the comfort of your home. And no, it doesn't feel like a Zoom meeting, because I'm not that kind of girl. You're going to get one part Jesus and one part a little ratchet, because I like good music. You'll never be able to hire me to coach you in 2 days for $297, any coach for that matter. So again, this is not a bunch of speakers. It's me and you. I keep the room to about 30 people, because I really want to be able to coach you in those 2 days. And all you got to do is show up, and I got you. So if that's you and that's a good fit for you, and you're in that place where you want to start or grow your purpose-focused business. And let me just say one other thing. Look forward to coaching you, Tanisha. If you want to start a product-based business, you have a pen or a cup or lipstick, I'm not your girl. I'm not your coach. But if you have a service-based business, and listen, even if you don't realize you have a service-based business. So I have a client that has a lipstick applicator line, right? I appreciate you, Teresa. I have a client that has a lipstick applicator line. And listen, she said I couldn't help her. Now, listen, I can help everybody, because we all have intellectual property, whether you realize it or not. And I said to her, how many people call you to pick your brain? And she said, ooh, a lot. I said, about what? Manufacturing. Hello. So you've been giving away your intellectual property for free. You've been giving your cookie away for free. Oh, yeah, we created a whole program around that she could make money while she sleeps. You want to know that? Get in the room and put it up one last time. BeTheAnswerEvent.com is where you go. And listen, I've only said a little glimpse of everything you get. Go look on the website. There's testimonials up there from other people that have experienced it virtually. And I shifted to virtual. And listen, I'm full experiential, meaning I'm coaching you. I can see where you're stuck. And I thought when I shifted to virtual, I wasn't going to be able to see that. I can still help and hold the space for your breakthrough, even in a virtual room. You'll hear the testimonials there. So if you know now's your time to grow your purpose focused business or to start it, get in the room. BeTheAnswerEvent.com is where you go. So with that said, it's always my honor and privilege to serve you, to coach you, to hold this space for you every Thursday, 12 p.m. EST for Bankroll Your Brains Thursdays. Because what I know is that God created each of us to multiply. But you've got to do the work to go and get it. And so our conversations here, whether I'm pouring into you or I have a guest, is all in alignment with that. So join me next week. We'll have a guest next week. I look forward to serving many of you at Be the Answer. But in the meantime, it's my honor and my privilege to hold the space for you to go after living the highest and best version of who God created you to be. I'll see you next Thursday. Thank you for joining me. Bye, y'all.